to that container. I am now right inside a container. When I do a control C, it will be terminated. That's it. That is the purpose of having an IT and purpose of having a DT. So generally what is being done? DT. So we always do by DT, and we will always have the container will be running behind the scenes. You can see the IT command. If I do a IT, it will get into an exited state because I did a control C, that will do an exit operation, and when I do an exit, that will get into an exited state. That is -DT IT for you. And finally, I have used a thing called -P. What is -P? -P is called port forwarding. Okay, the container port is 80, and I'm going to forward that traffic to my host, that is this virtual machine, that is 80. That is actually called as 80:80. So first 80 is going to denote my host. For example, I can do this something like this, 4000 or 400. Okay, and let me do it with the DT. I want to run this as a background. Yeah, name will be a conflict because there is an Nginx test which is running already. So let me call this to be a live docker ps. Okay, Nginx live is running. So now I can execute a command called curl, which is a command URL. So http://localhost. Instead of doing this in the browser, I'm going to do that with the curl command :400. Yeah, you get an output. Welcome to Nginx. So localhost, you can research about what is localhost. So localhost is an loopback which is networking. I'll talk about networking in the networking session. So localhost :400, which is the port which I have used. This is the host port and this is the container port. Container port will be constant always. So whenever you create any port, so it is 8080, right? So the container port will be given by the image itself. If you go to Nginx, we go to Nginx and example, if I click on 1.21, so in the last it will say expose 80. So by this, by practice, I would say by practice, you will know what is the, if you use an image, you will know about what is the port number. Okay, so likewise for MySQL it is 3306, Nginx 80. So likewise for each and every image there will be a port number which is constant. We could not change it. So that has been there with the Docker file. Okay, so if you want to know more about it, I'll share this Docker link, the Docker file link for your understanding. Okay, so yeah, coming back to here, yeah. So, and if you want to, let me do a Docker ps. So likewise, if you want to get into a container, exec -it and Nginx live. So that is why I asked you to name the container, because stopping, rm command, exe command, for anything you need to have the container. You need to address the container, right? If it is a name, if you have given the name, it will be easy to do that. If you didn't provide a name, there will be an auto-generated name. It will be something bigger. So it is hard to remember and then do that. So that is why I just asked you to do it. So and then this is the command. So this is a Yeah. So now I'm inside a container in the next container. Yeah. So that is how. So here most of the commands and things will not work. So like IP and those commands will not work. But you can just see about Docker endpoint sh and those things. Yeah. So generally, so let me talk about this. Getting inside a container is not a recommended practice, because you should not change any configuration, you should not change anything within the container. If you want to do any changes, you have to do that in the container image, because everyone is going to rely on the container image, right? So if it works for you, it should work for others as well. So any changes which we are going to do, we should do that in the Docker file. We should not get into a container and then do that. So you can ask me a question. So if we should not do that, why it has been given? It has been given for troubleshooting. If you want to do something, mostly 90% is on the troubleshooting. That's it. So you should not add any files. You should not change anything within that particular container. So generally that is not advisable. Yeah. So if you want to read something, for example, I want to see about environment variables. I want to see my environment variables. Yeah, these are valid cases. This will be used for troubleshooting purpose. But you should not get in, generally you should not get into a container to do that. Okay. So let me do a history and then show you. So basic commands are covered. So like RMI, RM and those, everything is being covered. How to create a container and more detailed into it. And if you want to know more about it, you might be having your own use cases, right? So always I'll provide the knowledge extension. So it should not stop with what I am showing you. If you want to learn more into it, if you are interested and if you want to learn more into it, you can always use --help command, which will actually show you all the options, whatever options it is being. Like I showed you man page for man command for Linux commands, to learn about Linux commands. If you remember, I executed man ps command. So likewise, you can do docker run --help, and for any command you can run that. So docker run help, or if you want to know more about docker RMI help, so anything you can just do it.